black, me no brown, me no white. Nah see Babylon stripe, you mad?
Guiding I eternally. Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Emerging from a cocoon into a caterpillar, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. The metamorphosis is here, it's live. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, word, sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change them style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
Men apartheid, black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Good evening, Iman Blak.
Good evening.
This is Pauline from St. Mary. Calling to big you up on your program. I am a disciple. I've been there since almost inception.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free.
I just you may have to tune into because, me always even watch some other tell life and stuff and that I have to see for later. I have to really listen to you first, you know what I mean?
Africa dafa baxna ki dafa nya ki dafa rafet wan ma ci ki bunjul ki dafa bunjul wan nya deke saway ki dafa bunjul wan ma ci ki bunjul ki dafa bunjul dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingama get dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingara dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingara did you know that's a richer Africa did you know that's a richer Africa did you know said the whole world love it, did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud.
Metamorphosis. You're not still in? You're not still in? Aquaba, Eli, giving thanks for health, giving thanks for certain amount of wiseness, giving thanks for the development of wealth. So, hail up to all the ones and ones who are listening into Styles FM. Hail ones and ones who are soldiers of the Metamorphosis. And of course, welcome those who are listening for the first time. Program comes to you out of the Northeastern Confederation of this rock, this region, in the midst of the St. Thomas and in St. Mary. There is this place called Portland. And in this parish, it is known as a site of resistance to oppression. And the leadership historically has been represented by a female coming out of the western shores of Africa. A Metamorphosis wants to pay tribute to Nani and ask the people of Portland if they realize the deception that has been cast upon Nani's town by the naming and the sound that they've applied to the town. So I'll be a little bit clearer as we go through, because we have to identify exactly who is who and what is what, and continue the search to extricate ourselves from the state of slumber. And how does one transform them individual self into a conscious, vibrant force and remove from that state of just being an insignificant face on the earth. So, Metamorphosis, here for ones and ones who are interested in exploring fearlessly through thinking, through reading, through rereading, through learning, and most significantly through unlearning. And the most difficult aspects of progression is the unlearning, because of the centuries of the programmed, driven by force, driven by violence, but impressed into the brain, into the consciousness, that after 2 centuries it's could be viewed as normal. But Metamorphosis insists that the world did not begin 2,000 years ago, neither did it begin 6,000 years ago. Because the state of affairs of the planet takes us into the millions, into the billions, geographically, historically. And within the people, continental Africans, 100,000 years. So, how we view ourselves in the present is significant, based upon how we construct ourselves at the foundation. And the foundation of ourselves is historical, and it is psychological. So a man kill a man in a Portland and run away to St. Anne and kill himself. Yeah, think about that. Man kill a man, run away to a next parish and kill himself. And then now when we look further abroad now in North America, we hear about a suicide of a highly successful businessman. Shocking that this man will take his own life. No one knows the circumstances. But the taking of life looking like something simple now. And makes one wonder what are our systems of value as we approach the next couple of decades. Is it that the hostile racial forces no longer have to kill us? We are now on a part of self-destruction that we now kill ourselves. And if that is the case, what has been the extent of the program that leads a people to self-destruction psychologically? So I'm very concerned about the psychic state of the mind of the African people, the black people, because after all of these decades of education and prosperity, we see that there's devastation and destruction happening within the race. So something else has to be understood. Something else has to be unearthed and looked at carefully. The successful man killing himself. The half-mad man killing the next man. That man perhaps killing himself too. And there's a rampant blood of Jesus running through the country, violence beyond the state of the country. So, and I'm very concerned about how we approach understanding the cause of these self-inflicted wounds. It's easy to understand that 200 years ago it was all about whipping and torturing and, quartering and all these barbaric behaviors that was meted out eye and eye. But now, those that used to carry out those atrocities, they don't have to do it anymore. So what is this program that we are on of self-destruction, and where is it grounded? So the search continues in the metamorphosis. And the search, of course, is through the psychic, and through the historical, and through the philosophical, that we come to understand why we have reached this state of destruction. And it's very revealing that in 2017, it is worthy of news, real news, that Africans, black people, are still slaves. The impression is that slavery came to an end in the 1850s, 1860s. And now we're in 2017, it is still going on. So what is it about black people? Why, after all of these decades, nothing really has changed in terms of race and global perspective. Individuals have succeeded in their finances, certain communities have prospered, but overall, nothing has progressed. So I am determined to get to the core of our issues. And of course, much of it is grounded in our early teachings. And much of our early teachings is based upon religion. And looking across our situation, even on the African continent now, is really two forces divide African people. One called Christianity and one called Islam. These are the two major forces that force black people to be at war with each other on the African continent. So, and I need to take a look at closer, what are the similarities between these two forces? And what is it that they have in common? And what is it that between the two of them, they can hold an entire race hostage and have us in a state of self-destruction? So we're going to look into that. And of course, it is very alarming that the condition of the black man in North America is deteriorating. And it's very alarming that the leadership in America has now declared itself, and the great America is no longer the United States. It's just America now. And the leadership has pushed a man up the frock of the Statue of Liberty and hold on to something that has shocked the whole of America and the world. So we're going to look into that aspect of what's going on in the bigger picture, bigger plantation. And then we look again locally, we want to explore this whole idea now of paternity. I know so much man in Jamaica realizing that they are jacket holders. And what does that say about the women of the society? And what kind of population are we really producing when so many of the children don't really belong to the father? Whole heap of things we have to sort out within this time. It's December, and the people are organizing and praying to celebrate the Christ. And it is this image, of course, that has been significant in holding the women and the African people in one place. This belief in a child that was sent to save the world. And the only way the world can save itself is by accepting this child as their savior. So we're going to look into that thing and check out the nature of the Oriental people. How is it they are disconnected to this savior? And why is it black people continue to need a savior rather than look into the power of the eye? Metamorphosis.
The peace in high as slowly fade away. No more will I cry, now that I eyes are dry. I've been beaten and robbed of I rights and I loved ones. I bones have grown so tough, no guns or bombs can tear I apart. I eyes get so red from anger and wrath. They lock I away, oh they'll throw I in jail. Sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high. Smoke it in their eyes. Sata high, sata high. Eyes get so red from anger and wrath. They lock I away, oh they'll throw I in jail. They say I smoke ganja, some say I smoke Cali weed, but how much do they know what that ganja does for I? A sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high, sata high. Smoke get in their eyes.
Metamorphosis, Size FM. I'm your host, I'm Dr. Iman Blak. I'm navigator of this ship. We are asking all ones to come on board and acquire the necessary skills to uplift themselves out of the state of being followers and move to the level of being able to lead initially thyself. To lead thyself requires confidence of the self. It requires a certain level of reliance on the self. It requires a certain level of dependability on the self. And these things and these characteristics are not necessarily what we are born with. We have to develop these characters, these traits. We have to strengthen them within the environment. Now, locally, in this parish now called Portland, I just want to make a point to those who may think that this is a simple and irrelevant conversation, but it relates to how we get a chance to see ourselves and how is it that the colonial class and the colonial powers, how they continuously try to keep you connected to them. In other words, it's not so much they want us to be separate from them, but they want us to remain dependent. That is more crucial. Now, we know that the British set up this colony, and we know that the British still controls this colony. Political structure is British. The constitution is Old English. And so the behavior of the people and its leadership now is not so far from being British. But the British carry with them a set of attitudes and beliefs that suggest that they are a superior people and that those who they have colonized are inferior. And one of the important things that the colonizer does is impose upon you his language. So right here on this island here now, we are overwhelmed and bamboozled by this language called English. With all of its low-level vibrations and the way it's confusing with one word having several meanings and one word with two different words with the same sounds and what they call the homonyms and synonyms and antonyms, and it's a set of confusion. And once you have a problem with the language, you're going to have a problem communicating, especially if you have no other language. So right away from the beginning, the African population confused in our communication because we have lost the natural tongue and all sorts of mistalking now. So English is what we have been told to perfect in our communication, and we've been told that patois is a sign of a low class because, you know, of this class structure in Jamaica, wherein the upper and middle upper and lower middle and all of these divisions they have used to separate the people from themselves. So the English now, this language now, people try to speak it in such a way that them, you know, they will punish their children for not speaking English and them correcting them in patois. They might tell them in a patois say that they might have good English. So it's a sort of grip on our meditation that prevents us from thinking clearly. Now, in Portland, the history tells us about Nanny. And you know that Nanny was a Moor. And on your own reading and research, you realize who were the Moors. That the Moors were Islamic forces that were dominant in the western sections of Africa and the northern sections of Africa. So Islam, a religious and a political force, is out of that culture came Nani. So we hear that Nani was a Moor. And most of the children and most of the education system in Jamaica will just tell you that freely, Nani was a Moor. Now when I was a youth, I was sent to a church at the edge of Harborview and near Bull Bay. Church was called St. Benedict's, a church school. But it was not St. Benedict's. The church was called St. Benedict's the Moor. Now, as a youth, I had no idea what that part meant, because they must call the school Benedict's. But as time and time goes on and we begin to acquire information, I realized that St. Benedict the Moor really referred to the Moors, that Benedict was a Moor, and that the Moors are Africans. So, as a youth now, I would never put together that St. Benedict was an African, because how could you name a school after an African? That was unheard of. A Catholic school. So the way them have way with the language thing, it perplexing. So now, the Moors again, we'll come back to the concept and the people who were called the Moors. When you really look at the spelling now of the Moors actually are the black people who bring culture and civilization to much of Europe, particularly Spain. Over 700 years, the Moors ruled Spain, established universities, established sanitary conditions, roads, government structures. Yeah, African people, I do those things. So the Moors now are some Africans who are not even studied in Jamaica, as much as our national heroine, is a Moor. But to complex the situation now, and this is the main point I'm getting at, because of the bias and the subtleness of the British and the influence on this Jamaican plantation, they openly and clearly defined Nanny Town as Moor Town. At first, it was always Nanny Town. And then I began to hear about Moor Town. Moor Town. And everybody say, yeah, Moor Town, that's where Nanny live, and it's an important cultural site in Portland, and people must be aware of Nanny and so on and so forth. But hear my beef now, because you know I didn't eat that. Moor. I'm going to ask my engineer, because I'm living here, so, and him know this. So him start panic a little bit, you know, but that's all right. So Cassidy, you know about Moortown? Eh? A little. You know where there? You're going to go up fellowship and go on some corners and reach up there. All right, Moortown. You have any idea how Moor spell? All right. So I'm dip on the ball. Him have the program. A good man to question. Him spell it exactly the way the English tell us to spell it. Moore. No, that's not the Moor that Nanny was. That is an Englishman name, named Moore. So if you're going to name the town after Nanny, why you spell it with an Englishman name? So you make Moortown sound like it's a town where an Englishman control. It's Moortown, it's Moor. So Shaka and the man them who want the clock come down and put up Nanny statue. First thing you have to do is do the correction of the spelling. I make the people know, says Moor, Moor, Moortown. And it is named Moortown because of the Moors of Africa. And that the Moors were Islamic forces, they were not Christians. So we have to open the door for the people them to get an insight into who this Nanny is and what the place really name. And if we're going to get rid of the British, we have to get rid of the British. We can't have them labeling the places that represent our African heritage and cultural sites. So we have to burn out the E out of the Moortown. Yeah, and we begin to bring the reality now of Moors. Because again, it's English language, you know. Two sounds. One sound and two different meaning. So the first thing we have to do is reclaim Nanny as a Moor. And we could drop off the E off of Moor because Nanny was not British. The British feared Nanny and Nanny overpowered the British. But psychologically, them renamed the town after an Englishman. And I say Portland people should I get up and recognize it. Anyway, them say M-O-R-E, then for mark out the E. They must mark out the E and give Nanny her props that she was a Moor. She was an M-O-O-R-E. She was a M-O-O-R. And those Moors, mighty black people, highly educated, very intelligent, non-Christians, is a part of Portland's heritage. And so we have to claim that, naturally. Metamorphosis. to wake up. And there's a stage, you know, where after a while you're tired to sleep. Because when you spend all your time sleeping, most of the time you end up dreaming. And dreaming is not the same as having a vision. When you dream, you just kind of see the total end product and you have it. And so you wake up and in your brain you have a dream. And the dream is going to come true just so because you had it. Just so. Where we want to have people who will begin to move away from dreaming and begin to have visions of what is it they want to achieve. And when you have those visions, it's impossible to achieve the visions unless you can see the step-by-step method of achieving the vision. There's already a step-by-step for a dream. People just dream because they spend all their lives sleeping it away. So, there's a whole heap of shaking up is required and the slumbering is deep. And the virus that has been put into I&I is a series of viruses for decades and for centuries. So we always have to be reflecting on our position now and always comparing it to where we have been and see if we have made any progression. Or we're just burning energy and just like you're just running hard but you're up on the same spot. And you run hard and the harder you run but you're not moving because you're up on a treadmill. So we have to stop, not just the feet, but we have to stop our brain a little bit. Slow the brain down and begin to think and reflect and begin to act after we think. Because what's happening now is everything's happening speed up. Man, people acting before them thinking, and then when them done, them regret what they did because they didn't think about it. So we have to slow down the program as much as the system asks us to speed up. We have to slow down the self, thinking process, and be more analytical. I realize now that the issues on this plantation are deep. They didn't begin in the 2000s. All these kids that call themselves millennials, issues didn't begin, you don't know. When they just come expose the belly. In the same way Donald Trump exposing the belly of America. His behaviors have always been there, but it has been hidden by hypocrisy called political correctness. Now that is being removed and we're seeing the thing in its raw nakedness. So, for example now, the violence that we experience on this island in this intensity is not just about gun violence. Because violence has been bred as a part of the fabric of the society. And it's deep. Because whenever there has been any sort of opposition to any issue, the way to deal with it has always been through violence. You see the example in Morant Bay uprising. There was no discussion with Paul Bogle and the man them over the issues of land and better conditions. They must come with brute force. So violence has been a way, and before the police force was established, violence was what run the plantation. Fear. Physical fear, psychological fear, emotional fear. That was the essence of what made the plantation function. So these behaviors now and experiences cannot be just wiped away overnight. We can suppress them with all sort of fancy talk and convoluting conversations, but these things are there, and unless you bring them to the surface, they're not resolved. So to solve violence, we have to look at the source and how long now we've been using it as a norm. So the government in today now, in part of them panic to deal with violence now, they are declaring that what is called corporal punishment will now be outlawed. Corporal punishment. I was a youth and I hear the word, I couldn't figure out what it means now. Corporal punishment. Corporal to me was always a policeman, was a corporal. And then when you hear about corporal punishment, it's something like, I used to equate it to know when whipping, cat o' nine. You know some of the things that came to mind when I heard about corporal punishment. When them tie up man over barrel and whip them until them wet themselves and, you know, cat o' nine, and that became a normal way of dealing with issues. So here we are now, emancipated, turned loose from the barbarity of the plantation and told now to go out and make picnic. Because we never really set out to necessarily create anything called families. So I have to make picnic. And so within that making of picnic now, the violence that we experience on the plantation coming forward could not have been just removed out of us. So whenever there was any sign of disobedience, the first reaction was to become violent. Because that was what we knew. That's how the plantation used to deal with black people. Any time you show of resistance, you get a beating. So beating now become almost second nature. Even today's society, as a child, violate a rule, and get a beating. And the first suggestion from a parent when a child does anything wrong is to beat the child. And then them back it up by telling that beating never do them no wrong, but it allowed them to perpetuate the beating. So it did do you something wrong. It scarred you, and you are carrying through that behavior. So punishment now, we are confused because the education system now is where they want to put an end now to this formal society beating children, because when I went to school, caning was a regular thing. Yeah, man, you get caning from the headmaster. And that was a serious thing. And the man will go out and eat him lunch and get strong and come back and whip you. And it was all about so-called discipline. But here is the confusion now. If I whip you, that is not discipline. That is punishment. And so the society confused now between punishment and discipline. And we begin to brutalize each other, calling it discipline, when we really intend to punish. So if you're going to remove punishment, how do you deal with misbehavior? What is alternative? Nothing has been suggested. So what you're doing is turning over now authority now to the children who know you no longer can hit. And if you try to hit them, beat them carry it to the police. The police, of course, are not trained with these social issues. So it's just making matters worse rather than making things better. And because the research has not been properly done by I and I as a people, we insist on brutalizing each other. And we call punishment discipline. And then we tell the child that he must discipline himself. Are we saying that he must punish himself? Confuse signals. So clarity is needed now in this punishment issue. And what will be the alternative? The people of wealth can tell the child, go and lock up yourself in your room. Can take away toys and take away important gadgets. The people who lack the resources live in 1 or 2 rooms. Child can lock well in one room. Nothing can be denied because everything is scarce. So how you arrive at how do you maintain proper behavior? So the society jumping up and down the place with no clue as how to address violence. And the violence is not just promoted through beatings. The violence is there in relations. Yeah, relationships. Violence between the male and the female. Power struggle. Who is in authority? Who is rulership? Who is dominant? And so until we begin to resolve some of those personal issues, when people can't resolve them differences through reasoning, them get physical. And so we have to improve the quality now of our communication. We have to drop some of the concepts called like ego. And we have to drop some things like e-guess. And we have to begin to re-establish the psychological foundation of a black relationship. So the parents now who have these children, and as soon as them disobey, get a buffon and a lick, you're promoting those children to become adults and become abusers. And the violence is not physical now only. We're talking about now emotional violence. The violence that reach a lot of young males under the single fathers, under the single mother household. When she can physically lick him, so she find the most cutting things to tell the child. And these wounds last longer than the physical hurt. And so the people maintain these hurt feelings within. And at some point in time, they're going to express these hurt feelings. So we are creating some time bombs amongst ourselves. And the healing is vital. It requires reasoning. Say a man, temperature raise up, and him kill a man. When him temperature go down, him kill himself. We need to stop and think. Metamorphosis. Here, open the ones and ones listening, the ones and ones thinking through. Are you a violent person? And is it that your anger is based upon personal desires to be in control? We have to check with individual self now, because the crime is one thing, but the violence, our attitude and how we speak to each other is essential, and the violent way we talk to our children. So we're breeding a serious demon amongst ourselves. But at the same time, the society now is a society that is run by power, run by force, governed by violence. And so the people seem to be just responding to how they are being governed. But that is self-destruction. So we have to make an adjustment as individual level. We have to make an adjustment within our own being, how we're going to relate to each other. So this thing now, what take over Jamaica, we call this. Everything, a man get this. And a man diss me. and everything. If you disagree with a man, is this. But him now say disagree, you know. The this him attach it to know that thing called respect. So all of a sudden now in this place, respect become a buzzword. And it almost replaced thank you. Because a man beg a thing and you give him some respect. If a man beg a thing and don't give him, tell you about something else. We have nothing to do with respect. So this concept in Jamaica now called this. Every little thing now you hear a man and say, oh, a man this me, you know, and a man this me, and this and that and this, pure this. And when you check it out, you know, it's some insecure man and let have them argument all the while, you know. Some insecure thinking, you know, some shaky, immature type of thinking, you know. That every little thing happen to them is at this. So, what is it that requires respect? I thought respect is something that is supposed to earn. So, why a man thinks that I owe him any respect and him not for earn it? So people must stop walking around expecting people to respect them just because them is there. It doesn't mean people are going to be disrespectful to other people, but there's nothing to command respect. So we have broke down this vibration we have amongst ourselves, what everything is at this. And this don't have to be a disrespect. Because if I disagree with you, that's what it is. I don't agree with everything you say. I don't think because I don't agree with you, I disrespect you. Yeah, man, it's misuse of language. And it leads to violence. Because the simplicity behind what a man used to say, a man diss him, is just a high, low level of intelligence. Yeah, man, it's non-thinking, you know. Non-thinking, a man bounce a man diss him, a man heal a man and the man don't answer back, the man diss him. It's something I don't even want to use that type of terms because it's sexist. But that's something like a soft behavior. And we have to check yourself. Why every little thing a man do this is a this? And why are you so important that him have to disrespect you? So we could re-examine ourselves as individuals because much of that I think is contributing to the violence. And it's not grounded in anything real. Some emotional talk and some emotional feelings. So we have a work to do, and the work is on our own being. How to upgrade the I as an individual, that you can communicate with the next individual and make a communion, make a community. Because community is a combination of individual groups, oftentimes families. And the problem is at the individual level. The I, the me. Those who see the me more than the I. Those who are me-centered tend to be unable to reason outside of the me. Because the whole universe revolves around them, which is the me. So we want to upgrade the thinking process and become conscious of the I. And realize that the I dwells in each and every individual. Every individual has an I, which is a center of influence, a center of consciousness. We want to rise above the me. That is petty and very, very over-personal. And you know, tend to be very self-defensive. We could begin to think within the consciousness of the I, which is infinite, which is eternal, which is intangible and invisible, which is the real power within. So, the violence, part of the solution, is coming to consciousness within the individual self. Facing up with this thing called ego and abolishing that which makes us oversensitive and realize that nobody don't owe you nothing in terms of respect. Because respect must be earned. So just live and let live. Metamorphosis.
No space, the body where you have push it on me. You don't know this is Craig T now. We're representing for the Adrenaline Rush with the musical ingenious Digital T. Saturdays right here on Styles FM. You don't know. 4 to 8 to make it a date and don't be late. You understand? Because the new artists and new music segment is from 5 to 6. So make sure you're there and the girls there. Hot
Access representing Suncover Foundation featuring King Tuff presenter day and night event called Boxing Day Invasion, Tuesday 26th of December 2017 at Mount Pleasant Alley School, Portland. Music by Kilimanjaro, DJ Mookie and surprise DJ. Come out and check out our free kids zone. Whole heap of game and prizes to be won. Bingo and domino competition. Admission $199, day event free. NS special all night. Bus leaving Waterhouse at 10 a.m. Access to the Kushite.
DIB Block Factory and Hardware presents their massive paint sale happening right now at all 3 locations. Up to 25% off some paints. Paints as low as $1,165. Can you believe it? In this time, DIB massive paint sale is on at all 3 locations. 7 Thompson Avenue, Buff Bay, Main Street, St. Margaret's Bay, and 44 William Street, Port Antonio. DIB massive paint sale. Come now on until December 31. The big paint sale. Your foundation starts with us. DIB Block Factory and Hardware.
DIB Hardware will be opened every Sunday until Christmas from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Port Antonio branch only.
Do you have or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Yeah, Metamorphosis, healing up Zilla's Kitchen, new sponsor for the Metamorphosis. And of course, Zilla's Kitchen is right there in the heart of Port Antonio. Have all natural foods. And of course, the energy is there. You can see the thing being prepared clearly. moving into the vein. Before the program is out, though, I'm going to go into the world of sports, and really have a look at review of what's happening in the schoolboy and the club football and the World Cup draw. That sounds like an entire program unto itself, but I will squeeze in a few minutes and share with you some of my perspectives as to what's happening in that major world of sports. But locally again, now another issue that has surfaced on this plantation that has a history that is not a very, it has what you call a sordid history. And it all revolves around the man them now, and it's really the entertainers bringing this thing to full fruition, full consciousness. And the most recent event now is about this DJ. I don't want to show what his name is. But he have two youths with a particular woman. And of late, there has been a serious exposure in Jamaica as it relates to who really is the father of these children. And all this is coming about now because of people want to take them children to America. People in America want to file for children here. And so there must be some accuracy now as identification. Who are these people who them belong to? Now we realize, according to this DJ, he have two youth. And not one of them belong to him according to the paternity suit. Now years ago there was no real thing called DNA testing, So for centuries, for decades, man, I take picnic and I say a female child. Now the women who are the keepers of the gate and the holders of the fruit, it has become very obvious now that whole heap of jacket release in the Jamaican society, because I think the statistics say over 60% of the testing showing that the man them is not them. So the woman them now being brought under closer scrutiny as the type of way them anger man, and some think is in retaliation. So the man having other women and having sex with other women and them going to do it too. And but when them two the man can't pregnant, it's coming like everything always held down. But when the belly start go up, everything going to show up. And so ultimately now the women seem to be defining who the father of these children shall be. And them weighing all kind of issues, them weighing the economics, them weighing the social status, all kind of things before them decide who they may push it on. Very interesting thing going on. So this DJ said, boy, it wouldn't bother if it's one, but the two of them, him not belonging to any of those two. So the woman them, when I check into it seriously now and see how the plantation operates in Jamaica, I know the man them behaving like stud and, fling them sperm everywhere and plant catch up about the place with nobody to nurture it and one big free-for-all. It look like the woman them play tit for tat long time. And the man under this illusion say him supreme and in control. Don't even realize where I reach him. And when the woman convinced him, oh yeah, you see him look just like you see him have your ears. And when she don't tell him certain things, they just have to hold it. But when you read the book that they give us as a history book, their Bible, you see that there's experience of those behaviors, even in the Christian book called the Bible. I'm talking about now the jacket. And the most evident case of the jacket surrounds the Jesus and the Joseph and the Mary. Because this is a situation now where the man is actually told by some angel and this kind of mystical communication that the picnic that the mother is carrying is not his. This is the story in a nutshell. So through mystical communication and what them call our kind of meeting with the spirit, somebody else visited the woman. Not only did that man visit, that man or that being planted a seed. And then we are told in the story now that the husband now who knows it's not him do it, was about to kick her out as a tradition. And again, him got some mystical communication through some dream that someone wrote about. So the writer was in Joseph's head, watching the dream. getting all the information, and then writing it in the book. That he must accept the baby and take away himself. Now, that is a jacket. It's not about being disrespectful now. It's about describing situation that is contemporary. So when we look into those type of linkages now, it's difficult for I and I in the real world to accept that this now is the son of a creator. That this is the son of some almighty. A jacket. Because it contradicts the whole philosophy of union within that culture, and of childbearing, and of honesty, and all of them kind of stuff. So black people today now, we get that thing forced on our throats. We were told that we must accept that this child is not a jacket, but is a holy child. And we must build a whole philosophy of our salvation out of white man oppression around this holy child. It's a jacket. And there are other ways of reading stories in the Bible that show you that the jacket the man them old. There are some will even get extreme and make you know say from the Adam and Eve story, jacket going right there so. You might ask how. There is an interpretation that explains the first child, Cain, as a jacket. That Cain was not the child of Adam. Because remember now, there was another man walking around the garden, you know. Same man who showed the woman how to deal with the fruit. Interpretation. English language. The jacket is coming through from the biblical days. And because Jamaica has adopted this biblical construct as the foundation of their society, it expresses itself. It's what we practice and what we believe that we're living out. So we re-examine the source of this foundation, these stories that they've given to I and I, that we've held on to it as literal. Metamorphosis. Interesting if you could do a DNA test on Jesus of Nazareth. Yes, a DNA test on Jesus. So really, we don't really know who my father is. My father certainly wasn't ending up in the sky. Yeah, DNA test. It broke down the barriers and exposed all kind of issues. So science we're going into. Yeah, we're moving out away from belief and superstition. We're going into science.
Rise
What is holding us down? What exactly is holding almost the entire race down? You hear people say we are hold on with self, and they compare black people to crab in a barrel, and they say these things and they jollificating it like it's a big thing them saying, and it's the truth, and them celebrating the knowledge that black people are like crabs in a barrel, and we just spew out some arguments, oftentimes cliches, oftentimes just phrases, hollow phrases, without thinking them through. So because of I really observation of the last 2,000 years of the movement of black people, and particularly the last 100 years, it's apparent that what we're calling achievements are fleeting. And what they call success is relative, because there's still a dominant culture that holds the whole globe under grip. So when I begin to explore the nature now of this dominant culture, I realize I'm really zeroing in on European, American, Caucasian, white people. Yes, as a force that is operating the control levers that maintain the mind in a colonized state. We have to explore and examine what is it at the essence of them teachings, why we can't get away, why we can't find ourselves in our greater glory. So, again, I'm on look into Libya and realize in the slavery process has been highlighted, it has been going on there, it may be going on in other societies as well. So therefore, nothing don't move then in that text, in that context. You have man in America driving Benz, you have man in Jamaica living in big houses, black people, and these create a kind of distraction to the real oppression being felt. So if we go into the psychology now, the psychology of oppression, what is it that is psychologically capturing the imagination of so many people globally? So again, reflecting on Africa, even a place like Sudan, and the various places where we say what they call civil war, at the basis of the civil war are two major religions, Christianity and Islam. And I am searching between them two things now to find out what is it that they both share that is all helping to contribute to the enslavement. So when you look at it close up now, you realize that these religions, one coming out of Arabia, and the Arabians see themselves as non-Africans. They may be dark-skinned, but they are not Africans. And they see themselves as a superior, hostile race, of group of people. And they have done their damage in Africa, and they continue to do the damage. And then they were followed by the Europeans who came with their Christianity, and we know the damage that has done and still doing. So here we are now with these two great religions. And then we look at the texts that they use. Two different books. One uses a Christian version of the Bible. The other one uses an Islamic Bible called the Quran. So here it is now, black people separated now between these two books, and major wars being fought. But what is it they share? They share one book. And although the books that they have are overall different in terms of Quran and Bible, they still share one book. And that book now is the book of Genesis, chapter 1. Now, Genesis chapter 1 is a very important book within the philosophy and the psychology of black people. But more important to our enslavement is chapter 2. And chapter 2 really is the essence of what we must try to liberate ourselves from. Because chapter 2 marks the sentence now being applied in the philosophy of committing of sins and crimes and punishment. But before we get to chapter 2, I want to just briefly examine chapter 1. Because Genesis chapter 1 is not a book or a chapter that is explored and examined by those who are responsible for religion, the preachers and the pastors and all these men. They do not examine chapter 1. They try to begin the story at chapter 2. And chapter 1 is where I want my listeners, if you have any inclination about trying to search out the foundation of our enslavement, we have to check into what we call now our mythologies. And the most powerful mythology, as far as I know, is the mythology about creation. And the funny thing about that creation mythology is that nearly every society and every culture have a creation story. And creation stories are myths. They are mythology. And I want to make a clear distinction between a myth and a fable. And those of you who have access to information and can push button and do dictionary, look at the difference. A significant difference between a myth and a fable. And I want to say to them now that the Christian Bible, the problem is not about Christianity or about Islam per se. The problem is chapter 1 and chapter 2 in the book of Genesis. Because chapter 1 is our insight into our fullness of ourselves, if we choose to look at it. But again, most church teachings begin with chapter 2. And chapter 1 now takes us now into levels of reasoning that requires some insight into astronomy, some insight into physics, some insights into geology and geography. And you begin to realize how it draws upon all the sciences to have understanding of chapter 1. So when we look at how we look at ourselves and time and space and deities, we are introduced to a beginning. And the beginning speaks about, let us make light. And there was light. And the beginning talks about sun and moon and stars and things of celestial constructions. Now, before we even get to chapter 2, if we examine chapter 1 carefully, you're going to realize some things very, very significant. For example, the stars and the moon and the planets and the galaxies, is there an original source of these things? In other words, now, we have to think beyond what them tell us. And so can we think out of our own brain about the origin of the sun, the origin of the stars, the origin of the galaxies? Are we limited in our thinking that we have to conceptualize all of these as being created by one creator? So I bring it to the item now that within that first set of reasonings, it's about mythology. And the mythology speaks to what the culture imagines took place, because there are no what you call human beings at this point in time. So it's thought power, it's projection of the mind. And so once we begin to speak about cosmic things, we have to begin to speak about several gods. Because within the cosmic makeup, there are forces. And all of these forces can be classified as a God, because the word God simply really reflects a force. And so we find that there are some very basic forces that exist before even the creation of plants and animals. We're talking about forces of fire and air, water, darkness. These are forces that permeate the entire universe. Darkness, fire, air, water, and earth. And the ancients recognized these forces as gods. The ancients, if you even examine cultures coming out of Africa, the Bantu people recognized that the universe is endless, that the universe has no beginning. The universe is eternal. But within that eternal universe, there are forces. And these forces are basic. The force of water, the force of fire, the force of air, the force of darkness. And if you look at within our own structure on the earth, these are the basic forces that operate in a unity, that permit and promote life on this planet Earth. Water, air, fire, earth, and darkness. So I said to them now that the book of Genesis chapter 1 has within it the concept of several gods, and does not have within it the concept of a creator God. Because the universe has no creator. The universe is infinite. The universe is boundless. The universe has no measurement. But within that infinity, there are forces. And these forces are divine forces. And so if you read chapter 1 now, you realize that before the earth was constructed in the mythology, before there could have been green plants and animals and insects, there had to be water, there had to be heat, there had to be earth, and there had to be darkness. And it's these forces that combine that create what we know as life on this earth. So when you read chapter 1 of the book of Genesis, the myth of creation, it takes us through 6 periods. And all those periods are scientifically in order. When you reach the point of the 6th period, the myth begins to explain the introduction of man. And the myth explains that man was made through the power of the word, through the power of thought, through the power of word sound. Man was made. And the making of man wasn't an individual act, because the Genesis in chapter 1 tells you that the gods said, let us make man in their image and in their likeness, and that they were created males and females, and they were sent out to multiply and replenish the earth. These are the commandments of the mythology in the 6th day. So black man, original man, trodden from the 6th day of creation, multiplying, having sex, replenishing the earth from the 6th day of creation. This is according to the myth of the Christian scripture. So by the end of the 6th period, the earth was populated with original people, people of melanin, males and females, multiplying, replenishing, getting pregnant, having children. All of these things described to I and I in the first chapter of the Genesis. And we are told that the chapter is closed off on the 7th, when the gods were satisfied with their work and they rested. So as black people now, as African people, as people who have been captured and brought into this Western world, we have to identify with the original creation. We have to identify with man, males and females, who sent out to multiply and replenish the earth. And so it is. By the 7th period, the creation has ended and earth and life moves on in continuity. So the problem for I and I as a people now is, what is this chapter 2? What is this creation now outside of the creation? What is this making of a clay man at the end of the creation? How do we connect ourselves now outside of creation? We have to stop and take it right there, so right there, so. Because chapter 2 begins with a whole different set of argument, narrative. It's about the making of a male out of clay. This is not a creation. This is an experimentation. Because the creation was over by the 7th period. So this other thing now, that's going to turn into Adam and Eve. This is where we have to wake up. This is where we must shake off that fable. Because chapter 2 is not a mythology. Chapter 2 is a fable. It is a fable because we hear of animals that are now speaking. In any story where animals can speak, the story becomes a fable. A fable is not a reality. A fable is established to convey certain points, certain ideas in a fable, but the fable is not grounded in reality. So we have to make the distinction, and we have to make the separation now between the myth and the fable. We have to let go the fable, because the fable is not even a fable that uplifts and transforms and liberates. The fable turns I and I into slaves. It turns I and I into sinners. It turns I and I into a people who are cursed. And that is an illusion. So we are separate the fable from the myth. And we can appreciate the myth. Because the people who live in the North Pole, the Inuits, they have their creation myths too. The people of Southern Africa, the Vadoma, they have their myths that connect them to extraterrestrial beings. So we have to respect the culture, understand the power of a myth, but critically separate ourselves from the fable and arrive at who I and I really is. We are, if we accept that mythology of creation, then we are the descendants of man, males and females, original, pigmented man. And we don't have no relationship with this evil or Adam metamorphosis.
Bought or sold. If you are living in a tenant yard,
Liberation is a crucial stage of awareness and consciousness, and it really means also abandoning superstition and fear. And most of black people are under the fear of a concept called a supreme God. Yeah, that's what nearly everybody get put under. I'm going to tell you about the Most High and the Highest and the Father and Supreme Being and Supreme. Everybody have this concept now. Everybody locked up under this concept of a Supreme Being. So it's something the born I hear, you know. Something on the born I hear. And something you have to try to justify to yourself about the Supreme Creator. But I said to the item, no. Long before we were introduced to this Supreme God in the Western world, the ancient Africans had their own concepts. And I want to speak about the Bantu people at this moment. And the Bantu people is the Africans, ancient Africans who have a particular culture. And they have a whole lot of mythologies amongst the Bantus that they try to use to explain the relationship between God and men. But you see, within the Bantu people now, as the literature tells us, God is almost never described as the creator of all things. And this is where we get caught up in now, because we have been locked into a concept of a creator who's the creator of all things. And the all things now, according to the Bantu, is not possible because the universe has no beginning. You see, the universe is eternal. And the universe has no beginning. So if something has no beginning, it has no creator. Serious thing that, you know. And the universe now is a concept that have been given to us, that some of us don't even penetrate what a universe is. And are there several universes? We know the word universe has two terms. It has a prefix called uni, and there's a root word called verse. And uni really means one. So the whole concept of universe would simply refer to one verse. But what is a verse? A verse is a thought, it's an idea, it's a line. And in reality, there are always more than one verse. And you could look at a song or a poetry that is made up of verses. And so there's also the concept of the multiverse, where this supreme one God gets jettisoned. And within the replacement is the notion of the many gods. And the many gods do exist because we have evidence and experience. What we have no experience of is a supreme God that is a supreme creator. There is no experience of that. But we have experience of all the other gods, of fire, of water, of air, of darkness, of light. All the other elements of gods we can experience. So the Bantu people, they don't know a long time, so the universe is eternal. Meaning it has no beginning and it has no end. It's the Europeans now who come lock you up into this universe with a supreme creator. And now we must bow down to the supreme creator who we hear talk to us now through words. And the words are recorded in a book, one book. And then when these two religions come now to tell you about the words of the creator, them give you two different versions, two different arguments, but at the foundation, they share the same fable. The fable of Adam and Eve. The fable of two people having two sons. One would commit murder because of jealousy, and then that son would run away and find a wife. That wife obviously belonged to the generation of millions of men, males and females, that were already in earth from the sixth day of creation. So people always want to know where Cain kill Abel and run away to a city and find a wife, because there are millions of people already in the earth, and there were cities and governments and structures for thousands of years before Adam and Eve were even experimented with. So we have to break away from this dependency and this concept and this idea of a supreme creator. And realize that the universe or the cosmos in which we live has no creator because it has no beginning and it is eternal. So we face up to the reality of the I. That the I really now is the center of reality. And the I is the center of consciousness. And what the Europeans and enslavers have told us is to abandon the I and to depend now on this concept called the Supreme Creator. Everything that happens in the earth now, man no longer takes responsibility. Him says the Supreme Creator caused it. And when Supreme wrong reach him says the Supreme Creator of evil caused that. So apparently now the Creator is a duality. These are concepts. And concepts are ideas. And ideas rule the world. And if African black people want to regain position in the world, have to let go some of those ideas and begin to reconstruct the ideas of liberation. So I said to the one them listening, I them think about it seriously. And how many people bow down to the concept of a supreme creator? And how many people have ever thought about the creation of that supreme creator? Where did that creator come from? What created that supreme creator? Unless there are several other creators. And as I said to them, Genesis 1 speaks about the creator in a plural. It says, let us make man. So the creator is a construct that has been politically used to control the masses of the people. Because creation itself has no creator. Creation is a process within a cosmos that has no beginning, has no end. It is eternal. It is energy, can be transformed. So we have been identified now as earthlings. And we have been told that we're living on a planet that is 93 million miles away from the sun. And we are told that the sun is the center of our system. But then we know that there are billions and billions of suns and billions of galaxies, an infinite amount of cosmic forces and spaces. There is no creator to infinity. Infinity has always existed. But we have our forces like fire and water and wind and darkness and the eye. Metamorphosis.
The most dangerous thing that exists in the world today is serious thing. Oh yes it is. Hey, the way the people are living nowadays, let me tell you it's a serious thing. Can't get no work, can't get no pay. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. The little children, they can't go to school. Serious thing. Teachers demonstrating for their salaries. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. To come home to find your children out of school and on the streets idling is a very serious thing. This arises from a situation where instead of teachers or in school teaching, they're on the streets demonstrating, and that's a serious thing. So much wars and famine on the land. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. Yet we are making more war planes. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. There is no attention on the youth nowadays. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. No future plans or opportunities. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. The devastating memory of Hiroshima has not quenched the blood and thirst of Satan, and that's a very serious thing. His future plans are to devour your children as he eats some bread and to create instead the dawn of the dead. In town and country, it's the same old cry. Let me tell you, it's a serious thing. Brothers and sisters, I'm a telling no lie. Let me tell you, it's a serious thing. Sometimes you'd wonder if you're wrong or right. Let me tell you, it's a serious thing. If you've got to stand up and fight, let me tell you it's a serious thing, y'all. victory against the vicious apartheid system of South Africa is a very serious thing. And if the weapon of resistance is in the hand of the oppressor against the oppressors, then that also is a very serious thing.
Can't pay my bills, can't pay my rent. Now let me tell you it's a serious thing. Food is essential, but I ain't got a cent. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. So much people begging in the streets. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. Some are big enough to have a bite to eat. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. Oh.
If in the nick of time you come home to find the landlord's bailiff relieving of all your possessions, that could be a serious thing. For your table or for your chair, you could find a spare, but to take your better way is a very serious thing. To go to your brother to ask for a loan, only to realize that he was heading for your home is a very serious thing. And to be in a position where your daily bread comes only from the garbage is a very serious thing.
Tom, Dick, and Harry, they are complaining. Oh yeah, they are saying it's a serious thing. About the condition they are living in. Oh yeah, they are saying it's a serious thing. So much in the prison, living in one cell. Let me tell you it's a serious thing. Much more to joining in that smell. Let me tell you it's a serious thing.
To be confined to a cell which like a cesspool bears a smell is a very, very serious thing. To be stripped of all your rights, sanity, dignity, and liberty is a very, very serious thing. To be chained and shackled and thrown in a dungeon is a very, very serious thing. Looking on a chain gang, it's more than that, it's a serious thing. Ain't got no liberation.
Yeah, the sound of Bunny Wailer. You know, Bunny Wailer has his own crisis in struggling to maintain the identity of the Wailers. You have forces who are trying to, you know, distort the image. And there are many who think that the Wailers is just Bob Marley. And the power of Peter Tosh and the Bunny Wailers and the Trinity is what the Wailers was all about, and we must not lose our history. We must not lose what has been created out of our own cultural experiences. And at the same time, we must be able to create knowledge. That's a part of our mission. Not just to regurgitate what has been given to us as knowledge, but we have to learn to create knowledge by pulling data and reconstructing the data, putting it from a different perspective, and bring forth knowledge. Because I are always just waiting upon Europe and the media to give us things, and then we talk about it. We're not generating our own topics of discussion. So we're waiting for the major broadcasts, major stations to give us bits and pieces, and then we run with it for a few, and then they give us something else and we run with that again. So we were running with Zimbabwe, and they taking over the government, and now that's no longer issue anymore because something else going on. And it's no longer about what's going on really now is the world being overwhelmed with sexual harassment issues. And suddenly it's like a door open and all kind of things coming out. Now, let's just remember that months ago, the system had stick up Bill Cosby and began to drag Bill Cosby through the mud. And all kind of issues came up on black people feeling guilty because here is one of the icons of black entertainment, and women coming forward on court case and disrespectful behavior, and yeah, we didn't know that that was the tip of the iceberg. Because all of a sudden now there is Weinstein, and there is Lou Gauss, and there is Hollywood now get exposed. And within the exposition and exposure of Hollywood now, realize the carnal nature of the male Caucasian. That this character is a predator. He's a sexual predator. And so you can imagine how he must be even on the plantation when they had all license. The amount of raping and brutalization that reach black women and men. Because him doing partial. He run upon any current. In America, I used to say, he run upon AC and DC. That you have man now start complaining, so other man I grew up them. Black man can't complain because of the industry controlled by these white men. So what is happening now is just that the concept of political correctness has been removed by the Trump administration. And the women and those who Trump oppose, they're actually finding a way to organize themselves to fight back. And they're fighting back now through sexual harassment issues. And what is the difference now between an harassment and a heel? When is it safe now for a man to say anything to a woman or mustn't say anything anymore? Because we might look at her and just call it harassment. Can we look at her and they look harass her? So what is happening now is some extremes. And it's all an output of the type of leadership now that America has. These behaviors have been going on in America for the longest time and around the world. But it's all been undercover because of this political correctness. Now because of the leadership in America who is no longer politically correct, everything is now coming to the surface. It's not only in Hollywood, it's on the Capitol Hill. It's not only the Capitol Hill, it's in the Parliament of the UK. So we're finding out that in all of these so-called high places where these men wield power, they have become sexual predators. And it's not just about Hollywood and entertainment. We find it in the world of the church. So it looks like anywhere men are given power and women have to be there, the women become victims. Because the men them have this concept that they are superior and that they must be provided service, sexual service by women because that is them responsibility and that is them duty. All that coming out of the Adam and Eve mythology, Adam and Eve fable. The fable that tells the female that she comes out of the rib of the man and the man is superior. And so the white male, whose ideology that is, exercise it because him say him have dominion. He's having dominion over all things. It would be very interesting if them bring this scenario to Jamaica for those men who are in high places now, for the women to start call them out. That would be something else. We see where one of the pastor man them just get locked up, arrested and handcuffed for sexing girl under 16 years old and all kind of devious behavior. And a lot of the man them who control the corridors of power rule that power over women sexually. So it's coming out, all of these things have been there. And what we realize, is that them man is predators. And all of these men call themselves men of God. And the God that they speak to is not the God of creation, but the God of Abraham and Adam and all the deviation that has become the norm. So I have to tell them now, I could pay attention to how the white world is unraveling. Because the kingdom is falling. It is falling and is being led by the Trump and Theresa May, and the whole cycle of decline is high. And once the women in America decide to rebel, because they have been in rebellion a long time, against the white man. That's why them started the feminist movement. But now them have ammunition and them have a target. The target is a president, the front grabber. And if him thinks a grabber in the front is normal and okay, well, them have a serious war to fight because the women are uniting and they're rising up. And black man must take heed. And black woman must take heed. And we have to clean up our house when it comes to them kind of power issues. We know that the entertainment industry controlled by man. A lot of the women them complain that them can't go through unless them give up certain things. Is that just a part of the industry? or is it something that is cultural? We are examining it because London Bridge is falling, Big Ben stop ringing, and things are being exposed. And the Trump is the great revealer. Metamorphosis.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
It's Wow Factor Tuesdays with Chungy and Shelly. Every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's entertainment and interaction at its best, with features like the Share to Care segment, the Uprising 10 Countdown, and the ever-controversial Love Break. Yes, it's the Wow Factor. Your Tuesday mornings will never be the same again.
Shelly and Tati present A Day and Night Affair, December 16, 2K17. Daytime, Christmas, Kiddies, Fiesta, and in the night at Extreme Launch, Sherwood Forest, Portland. Kids, have you been good all year? Then get free gifts and take photos with Santa. Enjoy bounce house, trampoline, slides all day. Gates open 11 a.m. Admission $350. Children 3 years and under free. The party of the year, music, vibe squad, juggling, DJ Syrian. Finally, admission free. Food and refreshment on sale. Get the rum, get the girls them, get the nuts, get the supplement, then you turn it up as you would again, 18 and older, drink responsibly.
DIB Block Factory and Hardware presents their massive paint sale happening right now at all 3 locations. Up to 25% off some paints. Paints as low as $1,165. Can you believe it? In this time, DIB massive paint sale is on at all 3 locations. 7 Thompson Avenue, Buff Bay, Main Street, St. Margaret's Bay, and 44 William Street, Port Antonio. DIB massive paint sale. Come now on until December 31. The big paint sale. Your foundation starts with us. DIB Block Factory and Hardware.
DIB Hardware will be opened every Sunday until Christmas from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Port Antonio branch only.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM, for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar. For the best quality in sound reinforcement and backlining, Native Audio. We have professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, Native Audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native Audio. We make your events audible.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close.
What's coming now? What a beautiful goal from Salah. El Rey.
The way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's hurting England again here. This is a brilliant run. It's one of the World Cup great goals.
Set.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt. The world belongs to both. Berlin belongs to both. 9.58.
Metamorphosis Sports. Metamorphosis, moving into the dimension of sports, games, and what the people love to play. I always tell my students when I was in the fullness of lecturing that one of the most ancient games in mankind is sex. And I always laugh. But it is a game. It involves sometimes minimum, well, it involves, let's just say, basically two persons. There's a element of chase and catch. There's an element of tension. And there is a prize. So we are involved in play as a people. As from the day we are children, we are involved in play, which is a psychological and physically beneficial activity. Psychologically, it allows you to relieve stress in particular. It helps to bring relaxation physically. And it also can bring a level of self-development. Learning how to control your emotions. Learning how to obey authority in terms of the officials. So it's an important ground for training of the brain, the mind, the field of play. It's just that the history of the plantation here in Jamaica doesn't make play anything for black people to gravitate towards, because we never did know about play. We were conditioned to do was to slave. And so coming out of our experience in the Western world, play was an alien activity. Play was reserved for the wealthy and the planter class. Those who would have the time to involve in leisure. But play is a foundation to cultural activity. So you play drums. Yeah, you play music. And you can play act, which is theater. And you can play with paints and colors and call it art. So most of the expressions that we call culture is grounded in some form of play. And when you organize play and introduce rules, we begin to talk about games. Because now we put in order to the play, put in structure to play, put in behavior to play. So that's why we have games, and in games now we begin to keep records. And so once we begin to keep records and establish bodies to govern the games, we move to the dimension of sport. So play games and sport is a part of the human development or the community and social development. Play games and sport. Sport now is business. Sport is business. Sports is not simply for recreation. There is the professional side of sport and there's the amateur side of sport. And so people now can begin to transform them playing skills into working skills. That if you are being paid now to play, then your play becomes your work. So play and work can be reversed, can be substituted if the play moves from amateur play to professional play. Well, in the world now of sport, the biggest sport in the world is football. Yeah, it's a mass-based sport. It's a sport that is watched by most people in the world. It's a sport that attaches itself to your emotions. And people will die for football. People live for football. People make football the center of their entire existence. And so it's a very important game and sport that can contribute to development at the school level. It can help to develop a community, give it a sense of identity. And it can help to build a nation, giving it a sense of identity. There, years ago, nobody ever heard of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was unknown. We knew of Ceylon, a place that used to make tea. It's through cricket that Sri Lanka come on the map. Yeah, cricket, sports. So that's the importance of sports. It is connected to many, many aspects of a nation. Economics, politics, psychology, etc. So every 4 years now from the 1904, from 1930, every 4 years there has been a tournament that involves the best teams in the world. It's called the World Cup. And I tell you, it's a fantastic event. And it is for the best teams in the world. And presently, the World Cup is set up for next year, 2018, in Russia. Now, Jamaica is an island from the 1960s. I've always had these flirtations and their visions of being able to play World Cup. In 1994, we were able to put a program together and put the money together and put all the spirit that was required to start on a campaign to get to the World Cup. And from 1994 onwards, Jamaica was on a national march, a national effort. All forces come together, private sector, government, overseas, everything come together. And we were able to push the football to the World Cup level in 1994, and we got there in 1998. Now we are 2018, and Jamaica has not even come close to getting forward to that stage, which is the World Cup, from 1998 to 2018. That's 20 years, and that's 5 World Cups that have passed. Now, there was a time when people thought that every World Cup Jamaica would just qualify after 98, thinking that it was something that was happening automatic. And for the last 5 World Cups, Jamaica has displayed at each tournament a lower and lower level of organization, lower and lower level of play, until the whole thing just disappear and Jamaica is no longer even a contender in the Caribbean and are in CONCACAF. So we want to know, really, to a certain extent, is there any future for Jamaican football getting back to the World Cup? And can you get to the World Cup without a program that is constructed from the base. So when we look at our base in Jamaica is schoolboy football. And schoolboy football at the moment now is just at its final match. This is the Olivia Shield. It's going to be played between the Manning Cup champions, Jamaica College. Jamaica College has won the Manning Cup 5 times in a row. And they're going to go up against the mighty Russians of Hanover, regular winners of the DaCosta Cup. They have won it this year, and they will be playing against JC for the Olivia Shield. Now, there are some other trophies that went up earlier. Kingston College underachieved, and they were able to come up with the Floor Trophy. And then there was the Walker Cup, won by, I think JC won that. So what I'm really getting at now is that the schoolboy football looked decent as far as I was concerned. I saw Clarendon College play, I saw Dintel play, I saw a couple of the teams play. And the football is organized. The boys showing good technique, good conditioning. But the problem in Jamaica is that the high school soccer have more respect and recognition than our club football. And this is going about it backwards because the club football is supposed to lead into the national team. The club football now is our Premier League. And our Premier League has its own issues because of lack of resources, lack of quality coaches, and lack of finances. So it doesn't promote or leave any platform for schoolboys to step up to. There is no stepping up when they leave high school. They literally step down because they're going to a level where it is less organized, less motivation, less finances than what they're coming from at the schoolboy level. So the football inverted in Jamaica. So that 94 to 98 run was a blip because it wasn't based on any foundation really set from the 1990s and 1980s coming forward. The program started in 94 and it finished in 98. So the World Cup is on in 2018 and we are spectators from a distance. And if there are any hopes of Jamaica returning to that lofty heights of World Cup football, it means more than having a new president. It means a revolution. And the revolution must occur at the base of our football, which is not schoolboy football, but our primary leagues. Because we have overlooked primary school football for the glory of schoolboy football. When at that age, those players are no longer coachable because they are playing out of habits that were set and embedded in them from their earlier years. So I say to the people who are looking on and the people who are concerned about Jamaican football, until we establish something like a national under-14 league where we begin to unearth the talent from earlier, that we can find the good 12-year-olds, the good 11-year-old boys, and begin to organize those boys to get into some of the more organized schools. But then when they leave the school again, they have the same problem, which is a club. So there must be a solution now to Jamaican football between club and between high school. And the suggestion is that we need an Olympic program. We need our schoolboys to be channeled, not into the clubs, but into an Olympic development training program. We remove the focus from the club football to the Olympic team. We will try to concentrate not on getting players to get into the clubs, to get into the national team, but to get players into the Olympic program because we need medals. And if we begin to create the partnerships between the JOA and the JFF and focus on bringing medals through football, we would have an excellent international youth program. And from that, we could realistically begin to think about World Cup. So if we are going to continue to look at World Cup every 4 years, it's a pipe dream. The vision is what we need, not a dream. And the vision requires building from the base. The base is the primary school and high school. To top off the top, we have to realize that the Premier League is not the highest league that we have to offer. We need to offer a professional league. So we need to institute another league, a professional league, motivated by business houses, motivated by the hotels, that we can get our best players, best young players into a league with our best coaches, with systems that have infrastructure and money. So the World Cup is here, and we are not there. Who will take it home? Will Africa shine again? Will it be South America? Will Messi have his final say? Enough things online, and we're paying attention locally. Man, continue to think about and wonder, when will a team from Eastern Jamaica win the Costa Cup? When will that happen? The greatest efforts took place in the 1980s, 90s, and early 2000s. When will that Eastern team from this Northeast Confederation be able to capture the Da Costa Cup? The Costa Cup is a symbol of rural supremacy in football. The champions are now Rossies from the parish of Hanover. The previous champions were from St. James, Cornwall College. And so St. Elizabeth Technical around the next side of the parish, they are also dominant forces. So St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, Clarendon. These are the parishes that are the most dominant parishes in football at the schoolboy level. What is the problem with the Northeast? What is the problem between St. Anne and St. Thomas? Why is this region barren? Where are the venues? Where are the structures to enhance the development of the talent in this region? And we have to know the history too, because this region, St. Anne to St. Thomas, was once dominated by one school in Portland. Yes, it's a school that was in Portland that used to be the dominant school in those 4 parishes. That school brought a sense of pride and respect to all Portlanders. All Portlanders would walk around, not just Portland, but they're going to go watch race. They're going to pass through Junction. They're going to go St. Thomas, Morant Bay, and Chess Big. Because of one school. The school on the peninsula. The school called Titchfield. And so not only did Titchfield bring pride and respect to Portland people, but the entire region embraced Titchfield School. Because when the side go down to St. Thomas, they expect them beaten. And when the team go down to St. Mary, it's a struggle. But them going know them going to get a beaten. So the team not only represented the parish, they represented the entire confederation. Yeah, Titchfield School. And schools would dream and fantasize of throwing down Titchfield as a force in sports. And not just football. Titchfield established themselves as a force in athletics in the region, in cricket, in netball, in the hard sports. So it attracted youth from all walks of life in the Confederation. Youth would want to leave St. Mary's High to transfer to come to Titchfield. Youth would want to leave Morant Bay High to come to Titchfield. Now in 2018, the high school doesn't even play football in Carter Park anymore. This is the height of decadence. When the school no longer plays its home matches on its home field, but plays in the second town. This is the height of absurdity now, you know. This is disrespectful now to the whole concept of the people of Portland Town in particular, that the home team doesn't play games in the great big Carter Park, that the team must be bussed to Buff Bay to play home matches. So it looks like the town has died a quiet death behind the sporting teams. It's a sports team that gives the students pride, not the subjects. Because the subjects is normal. It is the extra activity in sports that gives a school its status, that makes a student feel proud about them tie or them epaulette. Now we find that Portland is sinking. And it is sinking because the school has no representation in sports. So the prime school has now hit the bottom and moving at high speed. And people are now being distracted by being told that Schools Challenge is a sport. So where are the governing body for School Challenge? Where are the international rules of School Challenge? Deception. So until the region recognizes the importance of sports at a school like Titchfield, and as long as Titchfield fails to recognize its duty to the parish, then this is the backwaters. This is backwaters. And Doncaster Cup now goes further and further away. Because you have schools that are ambitious, fair prospect. Portland Comprehensive High School have now become the flagship for the parish. And there's nothing wrong with that because change is growth. But if you are stagnant, as Titchfield is, it means you're into your own, heading for your own destruction. And it's a very painful experience for all the boys who have played for Titchfield from the 1980s, from the middle 1970s. It's a painful experience now that your school cannot be represented outside of the region anymore. Very, very painful. And the responsibility rests on the board and on the principal. And the people of the town must hold their own responsibility for not organized enough that their protests can be taken seriously. That the men who represent the school 10, 20 years now, they can't even go out to school and play on a Sunday morning for their own recreation. That is where it reach. And you have to know what you're dealing with. There must be a way for the school to be resurrected. And the resurrection comes not through getting subjects, but by being dominant in hard sports. Hard sports like athletics, cricket, football, netball. You see the power of football. It can organize. It can bring resources. But the biggest disgrace is not about the school, but about the state of Carter Park. That place should have lights long time ago. That place should have its own bathroom facilities long time ago. That place should have light long time ago. So I don't know who's sleeping, but that time for an awakening. And St. Thomas people took to the streets for better roads. Portland people need to demonstrate for something. That something should be Carter Park. Should be restoration of a major playing center that can become a center of economics. Make a wake up people, a shake up the foot of that hill and bring Titchfield to its rightful place. Metamorphosis.
For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205 or email akonautotech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Do you have or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
Metamorphosis, continuing to examine the world of sports, particularly football. Now, the World Cup, of course, they had a draw, and the teams have been put in 8 different groups, Group A to Group H. But before even speaking of the teams who qualify, there are 2 significant absences from this World Cup. 2 traditional powers that have always been there, apparently. People would have seem as though them have a fixed place there. But nothing is fixed because all nations are working to improve themselves. Upgrade their talent, sending them players out to get experience, bringing them forward. And one of the significant teams to drop out of this World Cup is Trump team. Trump team crash. Yes, the USA, for the first time in a very, very long time, are absent from this World Cup. Eliminated through arrogance and thinking that they were qualified already before the final match was played. And so the USA get bumped out of it. It has forced America now to reflect on the entire program, the whole MLS structure, the whole league structure. Should they go to promotion and relegation? Should they hire a new national coach? Is it time for a new president of the USSFA Association? So for them all get pull up. Some of them wheel and come again. The mighty USA. And it is a sign of the times. Because not only are they crumbling there, they are crumbling in other areas of them general life. That is what we call America. Is the empire declining? The sports, international sports now, because America don't play many other sports that the whole world play now. Them competing amongst themselves, amongst the states, and call themselves world champions. But football is the true world champion because over 200 nations participate in FIFA football. Right? Them man play baseball amongst the 50 states. And when Houston going to play LA, them call it World Championship, World Series. Same thing with the hockey league. Them call themselves hockey champion, but they say them can't call themselves world champions in hockey now because hockey bigger than America. Hockey is a big sport in Europe. So football now is a major sport, international sport. And America have been trying to show themselves as a global power, but struggling for several reasons which can't really be spoken about at the moment. Another team that has fallen out of the thing now is Italy. Yeah, man, Italians crumble. And they are well known for them xenophobia and them racism, you know. Italians, them. I mean, it's no different from the Germans or the Portuguese. These are all racist nations. And we see the racism shows up itself during the club leagues with the chanting, racist chants. So behind the world of sports, of course, we see the reality of emotions, how people really feel. So the Americans are not there, Italians are not there. The Dutch also get eliminated. That has been my team from 74 onwards. They too found the going rough. And the point I'm really making about it is that no team really has any guarantee of getting to the World Cup. So Jamaica now, how did Jamaica get into this attitude wherein we're going to qualify for every World Cup? Where does that come from? We're not even a footballing nation. In the reality, Jamaica is an athletic nation. We are a track and field nation. We got deceived in 94 to 98 that we were a football nation, but we were never a football nation. We don't have a football stadium constructed for football. So we have to take our thing practical and realize that bigger nations with greater amount of resources, with greater infrastructure, they are failing to get to the World Cup. So our little lick and shy business will never get us there again. I'm saying to the island, we were helped in 94 to 98. We were helped by FIFA, helped by Canada. We were helped by many forces to help to bring a small nation into a 32 team tournament. All of those favors are no longer available. And the reality has exposed Jamaica to the fact that we don't have no football structure here. We don't have any methodology. Because every coach is a genius unto himself. And every man is a coach now in Jamaica. Everybody is a coach. So it gets a kind of way that to me it's going to take us the next 2 or 3 decades to begin to even challenge in this region. It means reformatting our football, thinking along the lines of 10 or 15 years, more than every 4 years. So this World Cup now, even Argentina got in on the very last day to show you how the thing get tight. It's on the very last day of elimination, Argentina qualify. So the great Messi almost missed the World Cup. Yet we here on this island going on as though we have some kind of birthright and automatic space because we name reggae boys. A joke business that, no. A long time the reggae drop out. It's just pure boys who have running around. In Group A, there's the home side, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Uruguay. And of course, the man them who know Iman from my time knows that my interest has always have been into the qualifiers from Africa. And Egypt is now there again. Egypt is the first African team to qualify for the World Cup, and they have been the most organized nation historically for the longest time. And so they are now in the group with Russia and Saudi Arabia and Uruguay. There's Portugal, Spain, Morocco, and Iran. 2 teams qualify from each group. Then there's France, Australia, Peru, and Denmark. In Group D, there's Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria. In Group E, there's Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. Group F, Germany, Mexico, Sweden, North the Korean Republic. In Group G, there's Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and England. And in Group H, there's Poland, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. Now, a lot of people didn't think that Panama could qualify. But Panama has an excellent under-20 program, excellent youth program, and they're now making their debut. They're in a group with Belgium and Tunisia and England, and any number can play. So this is just basically a framework, an outline for the World Cup. Nothing will happen between now and next June. But critically, Jamaica, we are observers, and I don't really see any infrastructure, coaching-wise, being put in place. I understand that the national under-17 coach, which is Andrew Edwards from Portland, he has been relieved of his job unceremoniously. And of course, he was never a favorite because of him come from the backative, no come from wrong, so no man can back him. And so he also shows the way in which the JFF operates. That there is not much notice, there is no consultation, you just hear say, you're no longer the coach. And so these are the things that make the thing shaky. The lack of professionalism, the lack of organization, and why people are not willing to commit them time to football in Jamaica. Because a man can just get up tomorrow morning and say him don't like you. If him don't like you, him don't like the vibes, and you have to change you. And the thing work like that because a lot of friendship run the Jamaican football. It's not professionalism. It's who they know, who come from which school, who come from which community. It's a brethren thing. And until we overcome that and begin to look professionally. And professional mean if we move beyond club soccer and get the business houses and the hotels to be the administrators of the game. Yeah, man. The community must simply supply the players, but club football cannot function at the community level. There's no resource, and there's no professionalism, and there's no place for high development of coaches when on the sideline a man tell a coach where am I going to do him. So the thing want to revamp, and this new president can begin to talk about re-election already. We need to hear from this president some tangible things that will bring football to even this Northeast region. What are the plans to elevate football in Portland and St. Thomas, St. Mary and St. Anne's? These are I concerns. That's why this region Metamorphosis moving down into the final 10 minutes of the program. You know, I always have to speak on Rastafari as a man who trod in the culture. And people, the youth nowadays, who decide that them not about to go to the barber, is on that basis no enough you to call themselves Ras. Yeah, them just decide to know them not about to go to the barber anymore. And on that basis now them is a Ras. So them are redefine Ras as a man who don't go to the barber. So if you watch what's going on now with the language, this English language thing now, you know. When a man talk, he'll Ras, I don't bother pay attention anymore, you know. Because I don't know what him having a fee in brain. Him don't want to say he'll Rastafari. Because that would be really addressing you with a sense of respect and authority. So this Ras thing now is coming like a fashion now. It's a fashion. there is no cultural reality or historical base now of Rastafari in the people who calling themselves Ras because them decide to them now about to go to the barber. And you find that these people tend to lack the knowledge and the foundation of even the whole movement itself. How many people really know of Leonard P. Howell? Yet they must say Rastafari and them Rast this and Rast that and Rast that. Leonard P. Howell, the gang. How much do you know about Howell and his contribution as the foundation to know of what is Rastafari today? Or they just come now and hear a man go up on a mic and say, yeah man, Rastafari live, and them sing a song and say Rast couple time at the song now, and people think say, him stop coming here now, so him becoming culturally, historically black. It's not even true. Because enough of the man who was a Rast not saying blackness. Yeah, because the blackness is a foundation now, Blackness is the essence. All things come from out of what is black. There's light and there's darkness, but then there's blackness, which is a field of energy from which all things emerge. So Leonard P. Howell now, such a revolutionary in his thinking, that him bring the notion to the people of Jamaica that His Imperial Majesty is a divinity. Of course, the state would have rejected that automatically, the white power structure, because in their minds, divinities are white. Their concept of a divinity is an angel that has white wings, or a Jesus that has blonde hair and blue eye. And then P. Howell come with the concept of a divinity that is clothed in blackness, melanin skinned, that has a biblical history. And the state panic. And say, Howell became the first man to begin to circulate pictures of His Majesty and postcards. And say, the man, them lock him up. Yeah, man, them lock up Leonard P. Howell and sentence him to prison for 2 years for distribution of the image of Haile Selassie. Now, in today's world now, a youth have a picture of Haile Selassie upon all them shirt and upon button and all sorts of images of His Majesty about the place, but a man don't understand what Leonard P. Howell, the foundation of this movement, what him go through. He ended up in Her Majesty's prison. Yeah, Her Majesty's prison. Leonard P. Howell, this is in 1934. And the society not only have a prison for revolutionaries, them have a place called an asylum too. Yeah, them call it madhouse. So when man like Bedward rise up now within his own dispensation, them lock away. So them lock away the revolutionaries. The same society here, the same plantation society, the same society that chased Garvey out, the same society that chased Dr. Walter Rodney out, the same society that used to chase Rastaman and trim them. Is that same society now we are turning to find solutions for I&I people? It's not very likely, because it's always set up to oppress and to chastise and to defeat the efforts of black people. So we have to begin to think around the state. We begin to think around the church. And we have to begin to put our brains into our own consciousness and begin to think about our own economic solution. Because Her Majesty does not have the answer. Her Majesty is all about containing. We're still living under Her Majesty. The people in America thought that they were living under the Statue of Liberty. Now they realize that is not so. That the Trump has come and removed the dignity of the statue. He actually push a man up the statue and feel up something that is causing pure pain. So Rastafari have a significant role to continue to play in Jamaica. Just like Rastafari must recognize the importance of political organization, the importance of black nationalism, the importance of being a Pan-Africanist, the importance of restructuring the idea of governance in Jamaica. We have to give these youths a new vision. No more dreams. A vision that shows governance from a level of regional powers, where we can break the divide of the PNP, JLP, tribalism, and give the population a chance, the 95%. So Rastafari still is relevant. Rastafari is regrouping because the pressures from the great unifier or the great divider in America is making everyone recognize, say, yes, and we want all ones and ones to be stronger now going down into these days. I realize now, say, it's out of the whole creation mythology that them have this concept of 7 days make one period. Yes, out of that same mythology. So the mythology impacting us, them build an economic system around the time created in that creation story. So we have to see the importance of mythology. We also have to see the importance of fables. We must make the distinction. Mythologies don't have to be true, they don't have to be false, but they can be empowering as well as they can be enslaving. And the mythology liberates you, then it's positive. If the mythology enslaves you, then it's a negative. It is a fable now that black people have been trapped on. The fable of this Eve and Adam. And I've taken that fable into reality and thinking that that is where African people come from. That is not our genesis. And we are conscious of more than what you call the supreme creator. We are conscious of an infinite universe, which means the universe has no creator. The universe has always existed. The universe don't exist. And there's no boundaries. And there's no limitations in space and time. So we respect the powers of the gods. Fire, earth, wind, water, darkness. These are the forces that in their combination create, as far as we know, life. And ultimately, what we really have is our consciousness. And consciousness can neither be created nor destroyed. Consciousness can be transformed. It's energy. And so we upgrade our consciousness or we downgrade it. And we try to inspire others to be aware and to be alert and for them to be conscious in their activities. We think before we act. We look before we leap. It's a basic overstanding. Brethren who give me a text and ask me about what is my view on worship. And my first reaction was that I kind of tired of all the kind of ship them and then put us into friendship and relationship and worship. All of these things don't seem to be constructive at all. I think that if you want to worship anything or any force, we should worship the force called family. Yes, if we convert our energy of worship towards our family, then we must be prosperous. Yes, serious thing. Because we spend too much time exerting energies outwards, sending them into the sky. It's about time we channel those energies into our own people, into our mother and our father, and we picnic them and demonstrate that level of respect, real respect through worship. Yeah, and that's a way we can transform ourselves. Move away from being slaves and dependents to be masters and to be self-reliant and to really have power over our own will. Because the story tells us that the creator of Adam and the makers of Adam and Eve gave him a will. And the will was free, but at the same time you have two choices, and if you make one choice you're wrong, so there is no free will. All of that we want to revisit. For black people to really find themselves out of this mess that we're really in this time. So we'll continue to explore, and we're inviting my Facebook listeners, Facebook people, to have a special treat for you on Saturday from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. You can tune into my page, Iman Blak, on Facebook, and we have a program for you Saturday night live, yes, on Facebook. So you just link me at DOCIMANBLAK on Facebook around 9 o'clock, and we have 2 hours of riveting reasoning looking at race and power and gender and sex and sports. Dr. Iman Blak and Osa Osabora Saturday night live on the Facebook. So tune in and give us a feed forward. And say his metamorphosis is still on the works. Yeah, man, just be nice to yourself.
Guiding I eternally. Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Yes, my brethren, sisters, give thanks for another occasion. Hail up Cassidy, hail up all of the people who listen to Styles FM. All the St. Thomas people, them. Amira, Yaya. Yes, he'll the one them. He'll the man them in all the way down to Warranty, right into Aberview. He'll the man them into Western Portland, right down to St. Mary, Pauline and crew. And he'll all the ones who are listening abroad. And the devices. California, Atlanta, New York, New Jersey. The various states of anxiety that Trump having under. Balance yourself and stay conscious in this time. Iman Blak saying peace and prosperity.
Guiding I eternally. Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I. Whispering inside of